Race 9 of the season for the ADAC GT4 Germany. We are into the final one-third of the season. Hello, everybody. Welcome to a glorious and very hot and sunny Sachsenring. The air temperature is 29 degrees and rising. Track temperature up to over 34 degrees. It is a glorious day for a spot of racing in the ADAC GT4 Germany. Great to have you along. It is a series that is incredibly close. Hugo Sasser and Mike David Ortman lead the points championship, but only by 5 points. They won both races here this time last year. They also won the year before, so they know their way around here, but they've got a mountain to climb today. They start from third on the grid. Mike David Ortman, a good qualifying session. Third is solid, but they need a good haul of points because second in the point standings, Dennis Bulatov, just 5 points behind. Simon Connor Prim and Jan-Philipp Springarb are just 20 points behind them. You can see the cars on the grid getting ready for what will be an exciting race 9 of the season. Race 9 of 12 this season here in the ADAC GT4 Germany. So it is just an air of tension because there is David Jahn, who has qualified on pole position in number 31 Avia WNS Motorsport Porsche. Good, solid qualifying from him this morning. The driver who has featured so prominently in GT Masters over the years. But alongside him, he has Nikolai Moller-Madsen, the 2020 champion in the ADAC GT4 Germany. Third on the grid, Mike David Ortman and Hugo Sasser, who are the defending champions. And alongside them, the driver we need to keep an eye on, Daniel Gregor, who has impressed in the Avia WNS Motorsport Porsche, the number 75 car. He has been a man on a mission on his debut in ADAC GT4. We see Nikolai Moller-Madsen there, and we say hello to him. He's done a good job. He drove at Sachsenring last time out with a broken foot. He was in so much pain, he had to keep changing his braking foot during each lap. He still got pole position in race 1, though. Mike David Ortman, feeling a bit better behind the wheel of that car than he was at the Sachsenring, where they really felt as though the BOP was up against them. There is Daniel Gregor, the driver who has really been making the headlines in the number 75 car. Took his debut win at the Sachsenring last time out, but in race 2 got together with Dennis Bulatov. Ended up in the gravel trap. Dennis Bulatov picked up a 15-second time penalty, but had won the race, or was leading the race by such a distance, he still retained that win. So it was Dennis Bulatov who won last time out. His co-driver, Mark Di Fulgentio, has qualified the car this morning, somewhere in the middle of the pack. So a bit of work to do from there. It's a busy grid, a full grid of cars as we look at Patrick Steinmetz. Good qualifying from him in P7. You saw the MX Motorsport car, BWT number 8, with Rodrigo Almeida at the wheel, who is also there. And he starts alongside Alex Hartvig on row 3, another of the Allied Racing drivers. There is Maxime Osten, came from the BMW M2 Cup and has been very rapid this year. Has had a bit of bad luck as well, but a return to form at Sachsenring last time out with a 2nd place in race 1 of the weekend. There is the points standings. Hugo Sasser, Mike David Ortman leading by 5 points ahead of Dennis Bulatov, and Simon Connor Prim, Jan-Philipp Springarb in 3rd place, 20 points adrift. We have some new names on the grid for this race. We welcome East Racing. They're based right just down the road here from the Sachsenring, with Steve Kirsch and Christopher Röhrner at the wheel of the number 41 car. Also, CV Performance have added a 3rd car. Great stuff with Fabio Roa and Robin Falkenbach. We saw Robin Falkenbach at the wheel of the number 12 Piro Motorsports Toyota. They have withdrawn from this race, and so Falkenbach has jumped across into the CV Performance Mercedes, an altogether different kind of car. We also welcome Lachlan Robinson, who's replaced Alex Connor in the other of the BWT MX Motorsport Mercedes, and this is his first ever car race, so he has got a very steep learning curve as we set off on our formation lap for this race. We are at the Sachsenring, a circuit that is 3.645 kilometers around. That is equates to 2.264 miles. It has 13 turns, 4 to the right and 9 to the left. It is a tricky track with lots of undulation, lots of opportunities to get it wrong as well. Let's have a look at the starting grid. It is David Yarn on pole position, Nicolai Moller-Madsen alongside Mike David Orman and Daniel Gregor on next row. Alex Hartwig, Rodrigo Almeida on row 3. Row 4, Patrick Steinmetz and Max Osten. And on row 5 of the grid, Enzo Juli and Nico Handke. Row 6, Max Kronberg and Mark Di Fulgentio challenging for the championship. Leon Vassather and Philip Goglock line up on row 7. On row 8, Jan-Philipp Springhoff and Stefan Bostanchiev. And on row 9, Tom Kiefer and Fabian Volven, part of the all-female team in the Aston Martin. Raphael Renhofer and Emil Yedrum line up on row 10. And on row 11, Eric Scalvini and Joachim Bolting. On row 12 of the grid, Steve Kirsch, the visiting drivers from East Racing, and Robin Falkenbach, we've spoken about already. And then Marat Kairov and Damon Suzishin on row 13. He got a grid penalty, as indeed has Mo Ritson, relegated to the back of the grid. So he and co-pilot Tom Wood got a lot of work to do this afternoon from the very rear of the grid. The instruction is being given for the cars to take the side-by-side formation as they head down the part of the track that is nicknamed the waterfall, and that is why. It is a steep drop as they head down towards turn 12. A spectacular part of the circuit. The cars look great there in towards turn 12, and then it'll be up the hill slightly around towards turn 13 and back out onto the pit straight. It is a circuit that has a lot of corners, but it is very fast and a lot of blind crests. So the driver's needing a lot of bravery and a lot of skill. It is a track that absolutely monsters the tyres. It's a track that eats tyres for breakfast, dinner and tea. So the drivers need to look after those tyres for the full 1 hour duration of this race. It is 60 minutes plus 1 lap as we get ready to start what will be race 9 of the season for the ADAC GT4 Germany. It's David Yarn and Nicolai Moller-Madsen, an all Porsche front row, a Porsche in P4 as well, with only Mike David Orman there to spoil the party. The green lights are on and we are racing. David Yarn making a great start, goes to shut the door in towards turn 1. Mike David Orman being very cautious into that first corner. Daniel Gregor on the wide outside. Cars going 4 abreast around turn 1. It's such a tight and windy downhill section of the track, but they all make it. Great stuff from these drivers. David Yarn leading the way. That is the view from Max Osten in the number 54 car as he tries to move his way forwards through the traffic. You can see the dust rising. Some of the cars have been using a little bit extra beyond the track, but it is David Yarn who leads from Nicolai Moller-Madsen. Mike David Orman setting down in 3rd. Daniel Gregor, Alex Hartwig and Max Osten into 6th place. Then Rodrigo Almeida and Enzo Juli rounding out the top 8. But tiptoeing around this first part of the lap now, it's the steep uphill towards turn 8 and turn 9. Really good start from David Yarn, just opening up a gap from Nicolai Moller-Madsen. Some fighting for position. Further back we come, and then it'll be up towards the start-finish line and in towards turn 1. Some great shots of the field heading down the waterfall. So it is 60 minutes of racing plus 1 lap for the ADAC GT4 Germany. It is David Yarn who leads the way, fighting for position further back. And the drivers who had a poor qualifying session, well, Mo Ritson, he had a decent qualifying session, but had a penalty, has had to start from the back of the grid, is now fighting his way forwards on a track that's not easy to overtake. This is the best overtaking opportunity into turn 1, going deep into the corner. That's Rodrigo Almeida, who gets it all wrong under braking. On board with Mark Di Fulgentio, his co-driver Denis Bulatov. One of the drivers who is competing for the champion is Denis Bulatov. He needs Mark Di Fulgentio to do all the hard work to get the car as far forwards as possible before the mandatory stop and driver change, which will come 25 minutes into this race, because 25 minutes into the race there will be a pit window that will open for 10 minutes, and during that window every car will be required to come into the pits for a mandatory stop and driver change. And just to make it interesting, there is a minimum pit stop time of 95 seconds for each car from pit entry to pit exit. So here's a replay of the start. We're looking again as they come across. That's a great view. That is Daniel Gregor. He's a little bit out of line as he crossed the line, but it doesn't look as though there's been any issue flagged. The drivers are required to drive through the start grid boxes at the start of the race. They can't break rank too quickly, but the stewards will have had a look at that. No notifications of any issues. Max Osten in the part of the circuit fighting towards turn 3. The Allied Racing number 22 car of Alex Hartvig in there as well. Now Daniel Gregor has been relegated down in position as they cross the line. Daniel Gregor down to 5th, Alex Hartvig up into 4th place. So the driver that we said keep an eye on has lost a position. He has been mighty impressive on his debut in ADAC GT4 Germany this year. That was the start of the problems for Rodrigo Almeida. We saw him go out wide. No, it was Emil Yedrum in the identical BWT car. So out wide, getting a bit of dirt on the cars. There is Rodrigo Almeida. And also the 35 car with Enzo Giuli at the wheel. His teammate in Nico Hanker in the 34 car taking advantage to sneak through on the inside. This is the view from Mark De Fulgentio. Just keep it low, staying out of trouble. And that was not a great corner for Rodrigo Almeida as he loses a couple of positions. So, lively opening lap and first couple of corners for the ADAC GT4 Germany. You can see how hard Nikolai Moller-Madsen is trying. He picks up a bit of dust. Now, the car's breaking clear of each other a little bit. Suddenly, Mike David Altman starting to turn the heat up on Nikolai Moller-Madsen. Both champions or former champions in ADAC GT4 Germany. Mike David Altman now monstering the Porsche in front of him up towards turn 13. Out onto the pit straight they come. Will Mike David Altman have the opportunity to pick up a slipstream into turn 1? He's behind the Porsche at the moment, flashing his lights. Doesn't make a move here, or does he? Just shows himself on the inside. Takes a few laps to get the tyres into the operating window to the right temperature. Mike himself was saying to me earlier on today about how critical it is to get the tyres into the correct operating window and keep them there. No tyre warmers allowed in GT4 Germany, so it's taken a while, but now the grip has come to Mike David Altman. He sees the gap on the inside of Nikolai Moller-Madsen, and he is up into 2nd place. What can he do about David Yarn? We'll see what the gaps are when they cross the line next time around, but it is Mike David Altman up into 2nd place. Now, trying to hone in on David Yarn in the number 31 car. Nikolai Moller-Madsen down into 3rd. Behind him is Alex Hartvig. Daniel Gregor, who has gone backwards at the moment, has Max Osten for company. Max Osten has been another of the young drivers who's been something of a revelation this year. And you can see him at the back of that queue challenging Daniel Gregor as they come down towards turn 12. Has a little look. And Daniel Gregor in control at the moment, but the Porsche doesn't seem to have the grip and the power that he would like at this stage in the proceedings. Just to remind you that there are success ballasts that are awarded as well to drivers who finish in the 1, 2, 3. And David Yarn, who's leading the way, does have 10 kilograms of success ballast on account of his finishing position last time out at the Sachsenring. So Daniel Gregor, who was very disgruntled after getting together with Denis Bulatov at the Sachsenring in the 2nd race last time out, looking to make amends and to get back into the championship hunt, but not looking to have the legs on Max Osten at the moment. The BMW still pressuring hard. It's Max Osten in 6th place, Daniel Gregor in 5th place. In front of them, Alex Hartvig in the number 22 car, shares with Nathan Schaap, looking for his best showing of the year by quite a long way, but still a long way to go in the race. And there is one of the newcomers, the 83 car, Robin Falkenbach. Well, he's not a newcomer, but the car is. It's the additional one from CV Performance Group. He's sharing the car with Fabio Rao, but he's had a bit of a moment. I already said it's a very different kind of car to what he has been driving this season, the Toyota Supra that he was driving. Let's have a look at a replay here. And he got together with the other of the guesting drivers. So the 2 guest drivers get together. That is the 41 car with Steve Kirsch at the wheel. and that has left the Mercedes pointing in the wrong direction. There is going to be an investigation that has popped up on our screens. There's a surprise. Our race steward's taking a look at that now. Keep an eye on Mike David Ortman. He's broken clear of Nikolai Moller-Madsen. He's reeling in David Yarn. So the gap last time across was 0.8 of a second. Daniel Gregor looking increasingly vulnerable to Max Osten in that 5th place. And behind Osten is Enzo Juli as well. Nico Hanke in there as well. So the BMWs looking especially strong here at the Sachsenring in this, the first race of 2 this weekend. It's as you were at the moment, but you get the feeling there may be a change before too long. Also keeping an eye on Mark Di Fulgentio in car number 4. He is in 11th place. Of course, he is doing a lot of hard work because his co-driver, Denis Bulatov, is a championship challenger and needs him to get that car as far up as possible. So David Yarn leading the way at the moment. Mike David Ortman in 2nd place. It was 0.888 last time they crossed the start-finish line. Nikolai Moller-Madsen in 3rd. Alex Hartvig, I was told to look out for him. He's quick. He's been around for a little while, but he's really finding some pace in the Allied Racing Porsche, being nurtured by Jan Kaspelik, the team boss, who's also an ex-winner here, a champion of ADAC GT4 Germany, now bringing on the next generation along with Alex Hartvig and Nathan Schaap. Now along the pit straight we come. Max Osten moves to the outside of Daniel Gregor, under braking into turn 1. He's going to try and go the long way round. Is there any grip out there for the BMW? Not enough to make the position stick. Daniel Gregor holds on. Max Osten was very lucky that Enzo Julia wasn't close, because he would have been through and stolen that position away. But bold moves from Max Osten at the moment in the Project 1 BMW. Project 1, the team who nurture these drivers. They've operated the BMW M2 Cup as well. Max Osten coming through the ranks, and now in the ADAC GT4 Germany, a great driver who is making great progress, and that's exactly what he's doing here in this race. Currently in 6th place, but he's got his eyes on that 5th place. 2 of the real up-and-coming chargers in GT4 racing. Daniel Gregor in 5th place, and Max Osten behind him. Here we go again around turn 10, and down the waterfall towards turn 11 and 12. It's 12 where the heavy braking happens. Got to get it right. Potential overtaking opportunity, but this is where the drivers are now starting to think about the move into turn 1. Line it up into the final corner of this lap, turn 13. That's exactly what Max Osten is doing. Get a good run out of 13, out onto the pit straight, potentially pick up a slipstream. Are we going to see a challenge? Osten to the outside of Daniel Gregor. Past the pits they come, into turn 1. Heavy braking. This is the opportunity once again, trying to go the long way round. Well, it's tighter this time, but still Gregor has the line. Osten trying to keep it to the inside now in the next corner, as Osten has the advantage, but now he's stuck back on the outside. Gregor touches the dirt, makes a bit of contact, it sends Osten wide, and now suddenly Enzo Julia is looking to fill the gap that's there as well. Car 41 has a penalty lap 3 times for causing a collision. That's the one we saw earlier with Steve Kirsch, so he's got to visit the penalty box, but we are transfixed by this fight. Daniel Gregor lives to fight another day, because Max Osten, well, he almost lost the position. He's fought it back, hasn't he? Now he's back onto Daniel Gregor. How long can Gregor hold this off? Max Osten once again in that 6th place, monstering Daniel Gregor, and he's going to have another go here. So down the waterfall they come. It'll be into turn 12. He has a little look, but he's going to be lining him up, ready to get a good run out of the final corner and out onto the pit straight. He's had a couple of dress rehearsals, hasn't he? Looks to the inside. Now into turn 13, under braking, up the steep hill, out onto the start-finish line. This time he's alongside. Somebody has kicked up a bit of dirt. That might have been Daniel Gregor, because Max Osten has found the route past. He steals the position away, and Max Osten finally gets that 5th place. Now Gregor under pressure from Enzo Julia as well into turn 1, and suddenly Gregor going back backwards through the pack, falling into the clutches of Nico Hanke. He's there as well. Rodrigo Almeida, after a difficult first lap, has now rejoined that queue and is pushing hard, as is Jan-Philipp Springhoff in 10th place. So a great fight here for these positions. But as Max Osten up into 5th place, what can he do about Alex Hartvig? In all of that, Hartvig has been able to break clear in the number 22 car. David Jan still leading the way. It's 9/10 of a second over Mike David Ortman. So Ortman is not closing in at the moment. Nikolai Moller-Madsen in that 3rd place, holding steady as well. Then Alex Hartvig, then this fight that we have been following for so long. An enthralling fight. It's Max Osten at the front of the queue. Then it's Enzo Juli, then Daniel Gregor fighting back. Nico Hanke, Rodrigo Almeida, and Jan-Philipp Springhoff there as well. Great stuff here. Looking after the tyres is critical. Nico Hanke moves to the inside, car 34 to the inside of car 75. Daniel Gregor doesn't seem to have anything he can defend with. Wondering if the tyres are crying enough. Mike David Ortman has also caught up with the leader. David Jan has Mike David Ortman up with him, so there's going to be a challenge as well. Into the corner, Daniel Gregor. Rodrigo Almeida getting stuck in as well. It's also Jan-Philipp Springhoff in the identical car to Patrick Steinmetz, who is also getting involved as well. So it's Rodrigo Almeida, who a little bit of contact there, but Springhoff is through and takes that position away as well. So Rodrigo Almeida down into 10th place. We keep one eye on Daniel Gregor and Nico Hanke. What can Nico Hanke do as he breaks clear of the 8th place car? So Daniel Gregor not enjoying the kind of pace that he had hoped for at the start of this race. Look at this, Mike David Ortman and David Jan fighting hard now for the lead of this race. It's down to 0.4 of a second. The tyres are critical, so it's really important that neither of these drivers take too much out of the tyres too early on in this race, because their co-driver will have to take on board and inherit any kind of tyre issues that are created because of what has happened in the first stint. The incident that we saw between Jan-Philipp Springhoff and Rodrigo Almeida is under investigation. There's no surprise there by our race stewards. There is the 85 car of Jan-Philipp Springhoff, Rodrigo Almeida in the number 8 car. Along the pit straight we come. Take a deep breath. We are still about 10 minutes away from the pit window opening. Really action-packed stuff here. Car number 8, Rodrigo Almeida, currently in 9th place. Jan-Philipp Springhoff just behind now in 10th place. Taking another look here, and that was Daniel Gregor. Ducking to the inside was Nico Hanke in the 34 car, and with relative ease gets past. Then Rodrigo Almeida fancies some of it as well. Also in there, Jan-Philipp Springhoff. Then they all get together. Rodrigo Almeida going wide. Springhoff on the inside, but it's Almeida who came back in front. Ultimately, a big contact there. You can see bodywork flying up into the air, part of the aerodynamic devices as well. So that's going to disadvantage the number 8 car. Jan-Philipp Springhoff getting stuck in, and Almeida then finding a route back past the 85 car. Now, whether he backed off and allowed it, yes, he did, because the notifications come up on the timing screens that Jan-Philipp Springhoff had to hand that place back to Rodrigo Almeida. So good, fair stewarding there from our race director. The race lead, though, very much alive and kicking. David Jan crosses the line, 0.3 away from Mike David Ortman in 2nd place. Into turn 1 they come. Mike David Ortman, who has reeled him in, started 3rd on the grid. You can see Nikolai Moller-Madsen just snaking a bit under braking. Tyre wear already an issue, but we still got 43 minutes of this race remaining. Someone in the background has picked up a little bit of dirt. You saw that being kicked up into the air. The fights continue into turn 1 we come. That's the number 19, Rafael Renhofer. Great to have him here, fighting with Stefan Bastanchev in the 23 car. So Bastanchev heading in the wrong direction. So he has been overtaken by that Aston Martin. I wonder if there was a mistake or whatever it might have been, but Stefan Bastanciev, a lot of work to do there, now down in 18th place. Stefan Bastanciev, who has been in the ADAC GT4 for a couple of years now, has been really solid. There's a film about him that is out called The First Lap, well worth checking out. A really, really interesting film following the Overdrive racing team. And it is Stefan Bastanciev and Pavel Lefterov, his co-driver, who have been a great partnership over the years. But now there is Rafael Renhofer in the Pro Sport Aston Martin, who's found the route past. And he, who shares that seat with Leon Erger, only joined the season, joined the series partway through the season, and looking very solid in that position there, which is 16th place. Also fighting from the back, Mo Ritson up to 17th place from stone last. Now this is the fight for the lead continuing. David Yarn has Mike David Orman very close indeed, but David Yarn has done many, many laps around this Sachsenring circuit. He knows where to place that Porsche. Mike David Orman, though, has been very successful. He sees a gap on turn 3. He picks up a bit of dirt. Up the hill they come. David Yarn has the traction up over the double blind crest they come, and then it'll be a downhill section. David Yarn still holding on. Mike David Orman in the Aston Martin, clearly the quicker of the two. Almost pushing him now. Around the corner they come towards the uphill section. David Yarn still holding on to that position. Mike David Orman closer now than he has been at any other point during the race. Up towards turn 9 and turn 10. Will he try and make a move down the waterfall in towards turn 12? We're about to find out. It's a different line for Mike David Orman into turn 12. The heavy braking now. He will want to be as close as possible to David Yarn to get a good exit from turn 13. Needs to keep the tyres clean. Don't get out on the dirt. Up to 13 they come, staying as close as possible to the Porsche in front. This will be his big opportunity. Out of 13, out along the pit straight they come. Mike David Orman has a little look to the inside. They run as one, past the pits, in towards turn 1. Where will David Yarn go? He goes to the outside. Ortman takes a little look, thinks the better of it, tucks in behind. So David Yarn continues to fight another day, but the Porsche looking a little bit loose at the back into turn 2 and around into turn 3. This is where Ortman saw his opportunity last time. And David Yarn taking a wider line around the corner, but there is no gap there for Mike David Ortman to get through. So David Yarn continues in the lead of this race. Riding on board with him now, you can see the concentration. He just needs to keep that number 31 car on that fast racing line. He wants to force Mike David Orman to take a route that allows him to pick up dirt on his tyres and drops him back. That would give him some breathing room. But Mike David Orman, who has won here so many times, he's raced here in GT4. He's also raced in GT Masters, and he has a lot of experience. The two experienced pilots running together in first and second place. Nikolai Moller-Madsen, 3.3 seconds back. Down towards turn 12 we come once again. So, same scenario as before. Out of 12, up the hill we come and in towards 13. Ortman trying to get as close as he can in front. There'll be the disturbed air though. It's going to be difficult to follow that car. So along the pit straight to come, he ducks out. A little bit of cool air into the Aston Martin, and then back along that straight into turn 1. A little bit too far back to do anything here, but it seems to be into turn 3 where Mike David Ortman sees his best opportunities. A couple of the BMWs are going wide, and that is Max Osten, who's gone deep, and it's Enzo Giuli, who has looked to get past and found a route past Max Osten in the 54 car. So Enzo Giuli, I wonder if Max Osten's got a problem, because suddenly he's susceptible. Nico Hanker is there as well. Now, whether the tyres are going off, whether he's got dirt onto the tyres, or whatever it is, but suddenly Max Osten heading the wrong way down through the pack. BMW versus BMW. And Max Osten, after all that hard work at the start of the race, now heading backwards through the field and down into 7th place. And Daniel Gregor has also had a troubled race. He's now down into 8th. Rodrigo Almeida is there. Leon Vasserthura in the number 5 BMW in 10th place behind him. So 38 minutes remaining of this race. There is Daniel Gregor, there is Rodrigo Almeida. number 75 versus number 8, and in the background, Leon Vastathura in the number 5, Hofer Racing by Bonk Motorsport BMW. And this is the lead battle. Once again, past the pits, David Yarn. You can see the evolution of the race. Enzo Giuli has made great progress, up 4 places since the start. That is the guesting car doing a pirouette once again. Car 41, Steve Kirsch, in the trademark yellow paint of East Racing Motorsport, who are based but a stone's throw from this circuit. Have done a fair few laps here over the years. Steve Kirsch jumping into that seat. Great to have him here as part of this. He was in ADAC TCR Germany back in 2016, 17, 18 and 19. He guested in ADAC GT4 here at the Sachsenring in 2021 as well. Great to have him back here in 2023. Back to the leaders, David Yarn. Once again, Mike David Ortman, what can he do to get past? Is he going to be harming his tyres and the temperature of the car by following so closely the Porsche in front? Down the waterfall, he ducks out, gets a bit of clean air in towards 12. Yarn anticipates it. You could just see him twitching a bit under braking. Out of 12, up the steep incline towards the final corner, turn 13. The blind crest once again. Yarn leading the way out along the pit straight now. Ortman closer than he was the last time around. Along the pit straight they come in towards turn 1. Takes a little look to the outside, maybe hoping that Yarn will move to the outside, leave a gap to the inside. He takes a little look, thinks the better of it, under braking once again. Still, Yarn holds on. This is the part of the track where Ortman seems to make really good progress around turns 2 and 3, but it's not a spot where it's easy to overtake. Here is where Yarn seems to go deep, but this time Ortman takes a deep line as well. Up to the double crest they come. David Yarn still leading the way. Mike David Ortman still following in his wake. This is Mo Ritson along with Patrick Steinmetz, running very much together towards the back of the pack. And you can see the debris being kicked up. So tyre wear is an issue, but so also are punctures. And if that is carbon fibre, that could so easily cut a tyre. Great job from Mo Ritson, up into 14th place from stone last on the grid. So Mo Ritson past Patrick Steinmetz, making good progress, but tyre preservation still the issue, not just from wear, but from debris. Back to the front we come. David Yarn, Mike David Ortman, Nikolai Moller-Madsen in 3rd place. Too far back now to do anything about this. 3.8 seconds at the moment. To remind you, the pit window is about to open, and it will mean that in the next 10 minutes, every car will need to come in for a mandatory stop and driver change. I think David Yarn will want to stay in the seat of the number 31 car for as long as possible, putting his experience to good use, putting the open track in front of him to good use as well. Mike David Ortman, I reckon he might stay out quite a long time too. Hugo Sasser will be waiting in the wings to take over from him. To remind you, they are the defending champions in the ADAC GT4 Germany. Nikolai Moller-Madsen is into the pits, so is Enzo Giulia, Rodrigo Almeida, also Max Kronberg, Mark Di Fulgentio, Mo Ritson, Stefan Bostanchiev, Fabian Volven. Lots of drivers choosing to pit early on for the mandatory stop and driver change. Just 13 cars. 14 cars that haven't pitted at the moment. And the lead 2, David Yarn, Mike David Ortman, staying out longer. We have 9 minutes of the pit window remaining, so there's no rush at the moment. David Yarn, who will hand over to Janis Fitcher, will be keen to build on what he has done so far. He started this race on pole position. He has led every lap so far. But Mike David Ortman, the defending champion in ADAC GT4 Germany, looking to repeat the feat of last year where he won both races over the weekend here at Sachsenring in such a strong position in 2nd place. He has to think of the championship, though, coming into this race. He had just 5 points over Denis Bulatov in the championship standings. Denis Bulatov in the number 4 car, who will be taking over from Mark Di Fulgentio as Mo Ritson into the pits that we've seen already. Mike David Ortman is in though, so looking to get the jump through the pit stop sequence. Mike David Ortman, here he comes. There's Hugo Sasser, poised and ready. He pulls open the driver's door. No major hurry here. There is 95 seconds, a minimum pit stop time from pit entry to pit exit. So Mike David Altman can afford to take his time getting out. He takes his seat insert with him. Now Hugo Sasser jumps into the seat. Mike David Altman passing over any information that he needs to, helping Hugo Sasser to get buckled up, plug him in, wish him good luck, and then he will slam the door, and it'll be all down to Hugo Sasser to bring the hard work that Mike David Altman has done, bring it home and score some points, potentially try to get the race win. So into the pits they are. You can see the clock ticking down. Pavel Lefterov has a red P next to his name. He has gone below the minimum pit stop time, having taken over from Stefan Bastanchev. It seems almost inevitable that a penalty lap is going to be incoming for car 23, which is bad news. This is why the timing has to be absolutely right. Hugo Sasser will want to hit the pit exit line when the clock strikes 0. He cannot be before 0. He doesn't want to be too much after because he wants to get the jump on the David Yarn car when he comes into the pits for his mandatory stop. So look at this, 3, 2, 1, 0. Cross the line he comes, 0.4 of a second plus, so that is not bad at all. Hugo Sasser rejoins. At the moment, David Yarn, without the pressure of the car behind him, will have been putting in as fast a laps as he possibly can, trying to make as much steps so that when the pit sequence is done, he can potentially come back out in the lead, at least his co-driver can. So there is Alex Hartvig up into second place, still yet to pit. We can see Nico Hanker has come in. He's giving way to Max Janssen, another of the very rapid cars. There is Eric Scalvini into the pits. He's handing to Max Wimmer. Also Tom Kiefer, who's giving way to Christian Koch. But a penalty lap has been awarded, no surprise there, to Pavel Lefterov for going below the minimum pit stop time. And it will be a visit to the penalty box. It is a box that is painted on the exit of turn 1. It's about 200 meters long, and he will need to pass through that at no more than 50 kilometers an hour. There is David Yarn running out on his own. He's got about 5.6 seconds from Alex Hartvig, but to remind you, he and Daniel Gregor and all of the cars with the light grey P next to them have yet to come in for their mandatory stop and driver change. They've got 5.5 minutes in which to do it. And my theory is that David Yarn will stay out as late as possible into that pit window before he comes in, just trying to extend that gap before he hands the car over to Janis Fitcher. Coming into this race, he was 4th in the standings, both David Yarn and Janis Fitcher. There's the number 9 car, smoke coming from the brakes. That is Joachim Bolting handing over to Tano Neumann, another of the overdrive racing Porsches. You can see how hot the brakes are getting, and the lollipop man just getting the attention of the driver. Hey, look over here, he says, getting ready to release him. And now, is he going to pull away? And looks like there might be issues there for the number 9 car, because the clearance has been given, but it doesn't look like he is going anywhere at the moment. I don't know if he's struggling to get the thing fired back up into life. He does now. Car number 9 goes to rejoin the race, but that was, I think, a fairly lengthy pit stop. Out of the pits he comes to rejoin. So just 10 cars now to make their mandatory stop and driver change. That one is the most significant because it's our race leader, David Yarn, who will be handing over to Janis Fitcher. As I was about to mention before we switch to the pit stops, they are 30 points adrift of championship leaders Hugo Sasser and Mike David Altman. They need big points. Into the pits comes David Yarn, our race leader, keeping to the pit speed limit. The clock has started. You can see it counting down from 95. So Alex Hartvig takes over the lead of the race for Team Allied Racing. And then in a bit, he will have to come in to hand over to Nathan Schaap, but he will enjoy leading this race for the time being. So David Yarn comes in, gets unbuckled. There is Janis Fitcher, who just comes to help him out of the car. Slides the seat back. Of course, drivers of a different build. The seat insert is hurled off into the distance. Of course, drivers of a different build all have to fit into the same seat. Now, car 9 has a penalty lap for a pit stop time, so it looked like He may have gone below, it hasn't shown as going below the minimum pit stop time, but car 9 also has a penalty lap, and that is Tanner Neumann. So a bad day for Overdrive Racing. Both of those cars in the Overdrive Racing pit going for a penalty lap because of a infringement in the minimum pit stop time. There is the car that was in the lead of the race. It's Janus Fitcher now at the wheel. You can see Ferdinand Winter has taken over from Patrick Steinmetz. And also, the number 41 car is in Steve Kirsch, handing over to Christopher Röhrner. Great to have Christopher Röhrner back on the grid. He raced for Pro Sports in 2022, did some racing there in the GT4 Germany. Also 4 races in 21 in TCR Germany. Right, out of the pits comes Janus Fitcher. Where will he join in relation to Hugo Sasser? The answer is behind, because a little wobble under braking. But Hugo Sasser has made the jump. This will be the net race lead when the pit stop sequence is over. So the jump has been made despite the hard efforts of David Yarn going out, staying out late in the window. It's Hugo Sasser who's at the front of that number 31 car, currently in 8th place, but the 8 cars in front will need to pit. There are 6 of them that have come in, still Alex Hartvig and Jan-Philipp Springhoff still yet to come into the pits. They've still got a minute and a half to do that, so they'll need to do it this time around. Alex Hartvig up towards the pits. He comes in the 22 car. Jan-Philipp Springhoff now. Finn Zulaf taking over from Daniel Gregor in the number 75 Porsche. But the headline is the jump has been made. Hugo Sasser has made a jump to get in front of the 31 car with Janus Fitcher at the wheel, having taken over from David Yarn, now behind the car that Mike David Ortman was running, and now has Hugo Sasser at the wheel. Car 23 under investigation once again for not completing the penalty lap. Here comes race leader, just in the nick of time, Alex Hartvig into the pits. Jan-Philipp Springhoff will be in shortly as well. So Alex Hartvig, the very impressive young driver, handing over to the very impressive Nathan Schaap. The driver of the 22 car from the Netherlands will jump into the seat of that car and take over the driving duties. We were told by team boss Jan Kasplik to keep an eye on these two, and Nathan Schaap is one of the up-and-coming superstars, looking for their best result of the season. 10th place has been their best so far. If they can keep this kind of form up, they should be looking to better that here at the Sachsenring this weekend and in this race. Into the pits, the door's shut, make sure it is shut, and walks away. Job done for today. Simon Connor Prim in the number 85 car will take over from Jan-Philipp Springhoff. They are championship challengers as well. 3rd in the championship, 20 points adrift of Mike David Ortman and Hugo Sasser. We're riding on board with Janus Fitcher in the picture on the left of your screen. Alex Hartvig has handed over to the Nathan Schaap, and now waiting for the prompt to get going. You cannot get to the pit level, to the pit line too early. We've seen it happen with other cars. Car 23 has now got another 2 visits to the penalty box for not completing a penalty lap. So Pavel Lefterov and Stefan Bostanchev's day goes from bad to worse. Here comes the 22 car, Nathan Schaap at the wheel. He rejoins, he's behind Janus Fitcher. So out of the pit lane he comes. It's Hugo Sasser who re-inherits the lead. Janus Fitcher is going to drop back through the pack. It looks like Max Jansen has come out of the pit stop sequence very well indeed in the number 34 car. We wait for them to sort themselves out, and Nathan Schaap rejoins behind the 2 BMWs. It's Hugo Sasser who leads the way in this, having taken over from Mike David Ortman. 23.5 minutes coming up to that, plus 1 lap of this race remaining. And Hugo Sasser, Mike David Ortman leading the way. Janus Fitcher, who's taken over from David Yarn in the number 31 car, didn't manage to keep that lead through the pit stop sequence. And there is another of the Pro Sport cars going wide. It is Leon Erger, the young driver, who's come in partway through the season, new to GT racing, one of the drivers that's come through the world of sim racing, proving it can be done, but a bit of a wild ride through the gravel in the Pro Sport Aston Martin. Keeps it all together and is able to rejoin, but loses a load of places, a lot of dirt on the tyres as well. Car 23, already have told you about that, the 2 penalty laps, so that's going to drop them a long way back. Pavel left her off in that car. There'll be frustration there. Right, here comes our race leader, Hugo Sasser from Janis Picture. They did what they needed to do through the pit stop sequence. Great driving on car 34. It was Nico Hanke who handed to Max Jansen, got the jump. Teammates behind in car 35 is Sami Matti Trogan, who's taken over from Enzo Giuli. So both of the BMWs coming out of their pit sequence well. The pit stop sequence now working their way past the back-narking number 48 car, Yevgen Sokolovsky, who took over from Damon Sazishin. He had a lot of work to do from the back of the grid. They had a penalty hanging over from Sachsenring and the number 48 Pro Sport Racing car. But they get out of the way of the cars coming through. No issues there at all. So, to summarise, pit window closed. It is Hugo Sasser, Janis Picture, Max Jansen, Sami Matti Trogan, Nathan Schaap, Finn Zulauf, who took over from Daniel Gregor, Ivan Ekelschik, who took over from Nikolai Moller-Madsen, Tim Reiter, who relieved Leon Vasserthura of driving duties in 8th place, and Henrik Still in the number 30 car, solid from them. He took from Max Kronberg, and Simon Konoprim rounding out the top 10. Good job from Mo Ritson and Tom Wood. They're up to 12th. They are behind Josef Knopp, who's taken over from Rodrigo Almeida. We're looking at the 34 car. Max Jansen now coming under pressure from the teammate, the fellow Volkenhorst Motorsport BMW, Sami Matti Trogan, who has looked very quick in that car. 5th place is the best that they've managed so far this season. Looking to improve on that. Max Jansen and Nico Hanke have had some 3rd places, so looking to get past the team out on board with Gabriel Piana in car number 2, fighting through the traffic past Pavel Lefterov. I'm not sure whether he has done his penalty lap yet, but Gabriel Piana up to 14th place, so in the points, having taken over Marat Kairov. There is Ivan Ekelchik to the inside, and there we've switched back to Pavel Lefterov and Gabriel Piana working his way through the pack in car number 2. 14th and 13th place running together. In the background is Denis Bulatov, so 2nd in the points, down in 15th place after the pit stop sequence. Took over from Mark Di Fulgentio, but a lot of work to do there if they want to close in on the championship leaders, because the championship leaders are currently leading the race. It's Hugo Sasser, Mike David Ortman ahead of Janis Picture and David Yarn. 1.8 seconds, make that 2.1 now that they've crossed another timing beam. But Denis Bulatov, a long way back in the BCMC Motorsport, powered by Eastside Motorsport Mercedes AMG car. And a bit of work to do. Remember, they are carrying a success penalty as a result of winning last time out at the Sachsenring. Here's a replay for the fight for a 10th place. It's Simon Konoprim and Josef Knopp behind him. The 2 Mercedes AMG cars running side by side. It goes the way of car number 8, sliding through on the inside, taking that position away. The replay up into the final turn. Up the hill they come, out onto the pit straight. Tom Wood continuing his fight forwards, well into the points now in 11th place. Great job for the drivers of car number 15. On board with Gabriel Piana. Can see the traffic jam ahead of him. It's Pavel Lefterov, who is circulating just ahead. And then the number 4 car, the ahead of them, Ferdinand Winter, is the car that's between the number 4 and the number 19 car. So the fights continue. It is Pavel Lefterov in the middle of that sandwich. Simon Konoprim in 12th place, having had Tom Wood wrestle the position away. Pavel Lefterov driving to the middle of the track now. Simon Konoprim there as well. So Simon Konoprim, Pavel Lefterov, Gabriel Piana at the back, trying to make the challenge as well. Pavel Lefterov at the front of that queue of cars, and Gabriel Piana at the back of the queue, and Lefterov in the middle. Out towards the corner they come. Piana on the outside, trying to sweep away past. He does that. He relegates car number 85. Tom Wood has done exactly that as well. Up towards the start-finish line they come. Car 85, Simon Connor-Prim, under all sorts of pressure as they try to keep their championship challenge on track. Gabriel Piana looking very quick indeed. The BMW looking mighty here. Denis Bulatov trying to make up positions as well to the inside of Simon Connor-Prim. This is for 14th place. Into turn 1, around to turn 2 they come. Simon Connor-Prim relegated another position. Gabriel Piana, see how quickly he has pulled away from Pavel Lefterov. Ahead of him will be another BMW, that of Tom Wood, in the 11th place. Lots of scrapping in the lower reaches of the points. Now a black flag has been shown to car 23. Pavel Lefterov has been called into the pits as a result of not completing the penalty lap. So a penalty lap was awarded for going below the minimum pit stop time. He didn't take that penalty lap. Then another 2 penalty laps were awarded for not doing the first penalty lap. Now a black flag has been awarded. So 23 is out of the race and he has been called into the pits. A disqualification for car number 23. Here's a replay of Denis Bulatov moving to the inside of Simon Connor-Prim and stealing that position away. Mercedes versus Mercedes, to remind you, car number 4. Denis Bulatov has the success ballast as well, so good job from him, but a lot of work to do to move up through the points from that position, which is 13th place at the moment. Their main championship rivals, Hugo Sasser, Mike David Altman, leading the way. Finally, Pavel Lefterov comes into the pits. It has been a thoroughly miserable afternoon for the Overdrive Racing team. The black flag has been shown, and to a stop he comes, and he and Stefan Bastanchiev will not be scoring any points this afternoon. Did not complete the penalty lap that was awarded, and he exits the car. His race is over. Now, whether it was a communication issue, whether they felt as though they didn't deserve it and were trying to argue the point, whatever it was, but out of the race for car 23. Here comes our race leader along the pit straight, reaching the 3/4 distance of this race. Mike David Altman did the first stint in the car. Hugo Sasser took over. It's 2.8 seconds over Janis Fincher and David Yarn in second place. Max Janssen cementing his place ahead, along with Nico Hanke, looking for that last place on the podium. And then Sami Matti Trogan and Enzo Giuli behind them in 4th place. Still the fighting continues. And now it's Finn Zulav who comes back at Nathan Schaap in the 22 car. So Nathan Schaap was in 7th place. Finn Zulav pushing hard. Even Echo Schick there as well as Tim Reiter. It's Reiter who's in front in the BMW. And Nathan Schaap in the 6th place. Finn Zulav behind him. Even Echo Schick just a bit back from that battle. So this for that position. Somebody been off wide there. We can see some dust now. This is a replay. Let's see what happened. It was one of the BWT cars. It was the number 18 car. And that is Lachlan Robinson, the English driver, who's taken over from Alex Connor. I have to tell you, it's a great job. He's in 21st place, but this is his first ever car race. He's come from karting, and he's into GT4, in at the deep end much, here at the Sachsenring as well. So really solid job, holding it all together in 21st place, and that is no mean feat. The fight for 6th place continues on. Nathan Schaap fending off Finn Zulav. The Porsches running together. The Porsches and the BMWs looking especially strong here at the Sachsenring. Finn Zulauf to the inside of Nathan Schaap along the pit straight. They come into turn one. Schaap has that position, 6th place into turn one. Needs to hold it all together. No mistakes behind them. Even Ekelchik, who took over from Nikolai Moller-Madsen, has Hendrik still behind him. Then Josef Knopp in there as well. Out towards the corner we come. Further back, Gabriel Piana on the outside. BMW versus BMW around Tom Wood. Tom Wood was down into 12th place, but fighting back. But Gabriel Piana, a former champion in ADAC GT4 Germany, and moving on up in the BMW. And Tom Wood into that 12th place. Still a solid drive here, Mo Ritson, coming from the very back of the pack. But I should think the tyres are starting to get a little bit tired in the number 15 BMW. Great shot from up above. Gabriel Piana now breaking clear of that 12th place. Ahead of them is still the Josef Knopp car, the number 8 BWT Mercedes, run by Muka Motorsport, the legendary team. FK Performance who are running the BMW that Tom Wood is driving, and Hofer Racing by Bonk Motorsport, who run the car that Gabriel Piana is currently at the wheel of. It is a car that seems to be on an absolute mission, just sailing past the number 8. Still the quickest man on the track has been Enzo Juli. He set the quickest lap back on lap 3, and that is the 34 car. We said tyres might be an issue. The right front has gone down on the 34 car. Max Janssen drops out of the positions. The tyre deflating, and he is out of the race. This may well be not the last puncture that we see in this race. Tyre degradation, such an issue here at the Sachsenring. Those who have taken too much out too early on may be vulnerable later in this race. Also an awful lot of debris out on the track. But you suspect right front, that's a lot of pressure that's been on that tyre. And car 34 out of the points, gonna be back into the pits. They can put a new wheel on that car. They're allowed to do that. But any chance of a good point score this afternoon, very much out of the window. Hugo Sasa will be hoping and trying as best he can to look after the car, look after the tyres, bring it home. He, Mike David Ortman, practically owning the top step of the podium here at the Sachsenring over the last couple of years. Double winners last time out, last year at the Sachsenring. Looking to continue that trend. Look at this fight for 5th place. Nathan Schaap now has Hendrik Still, because Still has got past Zulauf. So Hendrik Still, man on a mission, but Finn Zulauf coming back along the pit straights. The 3 Porsches running almost in a line in towards turn 1. Is Nathan Schaap on the inside under the heavy braking. Hendrik Still tucks back to the inside. He sees the gap in towards turn 2. You see a puff of smoke where the tyres are rubbing against each other in towards turn 3. Great defensive driving from Nathan Schaap as he holds on to that 5th place. Just in the background, Finn Zulauf looking to get back involved. Even Ekelchik as well. He is there watching, having taken over Nikolai Moller-Madsen, but great driving from Nathan Schaap. So much pressure. 10 minutes of this race remaining. Hendrik Still in that 6th place. Closed in on P5. Now trying to steal the position away. Sees a gap on the inside, lining him up as they head up the hill towards turn 9. The blind crest. A lot of courage required to keep your foot buried in it there. It is Porsche v Porsche v Porsche v Porsche as they come around turn 10 into turn 11, down the waterfall towards turn 12. Looks to the inside. Is he going to make a move here? He sees a gap. Schaap doing what he can to try and defend from the car behind, but now still trying to line himself up in towards turn 13. Zulauf there as well. If Still makes a move and it doesn't stick, Zulauf will be through. But you can see how hard Still is trying. You saw him going wide and have a bit of dirt on the tyres as he comes along the pit straight. Will he have the grip into turn 1? Schaap on the inside into turn 1. Hendrik still, just to remind you, he would have had a bit of dirt on the left-hand tyres after that little run wide out of the final corner. Maybe he's cleared it off now into turn 3, the Castrol Omega turn. Schaap doing a great job parking the bus exactly where it needs to be. Now up the blind double crest they come up towards turns 4 and turns 5 over the top of the hill and around turn 6. And then the steep down towards turn 7, and then a little squirt of power down towards turn 8, and then it'll be up the hill again, a gap on the inside. Hendrik still this time, he sees the gap, and he is through. Hendrik still through into that position, relegates Nathan Schaap down into 6th place. Finn Zulauf trying to follow through in his wake alongside Nathan Schaap. Schaap doing a great job trying to defend, but what has he got? Well, he does it against Finn Zulauf, so Schaap in that 6th place, holding on to the position because Zulauf suddenly has even Eccleschick for company. Into the corner they come with Eccleschick on the inside. Great driving here. All these Porsches running together, so evenly matched. Finn Zulauf has that faster line into the final corner, but even Eccleschick has track position. He slides across on the exit of the corner to steal the position away. And along the pit straight they come. So good drive from Eccleschick. Another driver who is improving with every race that we see. And Finn Zulauf in the number 75 car took home from Daniel Gregor. Is relegated another position for how much longer? He looks to the inside. You see a bit of dirt kicked up into the air as he tries to explore the absolute limits of the track. That's allowing Nathan Schaap just to break clear a little bit. But in all the fussing and fighting, it's Hendrik Still who found a route past into 5th place. Ahead of him is Tim Reiter, but he is a long way back, some 7.4 seconds. So probably not someone he's going to be able to catch in the last 6 3/4 minutes of this race. Although anything is possible, there could be issues. The tyres have still got to last for another 6.5 minutes plus 1 lap. Hugo Sasser, 4.1 seconds ahead of Janus Fitcher, not pushing too hard, just holding on. Then Sami Matti Trogan, then Tim Reiter, then this battle here. Hendrik Still with Nathan Schaap behind him, even Eccleschick, Finn Zulauf, these three absolutely glued together. Even Eccleschick, he's found some real pace in that number 6 Porsche. He's still pressuring the number 22 car ahead of him. We're looking further back. That is Celia Martin getting together with another of the Porsches. She spins around. That's on the Castrol Omega turn. This is Tom Wood and Dennis. And there's not Tom Wood. It's Dennis Bulatov and car 20 that are getting together. So that's Dominic Schack in car 20. And that was down in 19th place. You see how tricky it is, how limited grip is here at the Sachsenring, particularly when you've had 55 minutes of racing on the same tyres. Even Eccleschick once again attacking Nathan Schaap for that 6th place. He's holding on at the moment, but Finn Zulauf has got past Eccleschick, so they're taking it in turns to have a go at Nathan Schaap. He's doing a great job, mature driving for this youngster in the Allied Racing Porsche. That fight for 6th place. It's Nathan Schaap at the front of the queue. He is taking on all the lessons that he has been taught at Allied Racing as they nurture these drivers through the ranks. So many superstars have come through Allied Racing. We think of Vincent Anronacco that we saw last year. We think of Bastian Boos. We think of Harry King. All these drivers that have come through Allied Racing. And now Nathan Schaap, the next to be nurtured by the Allied team. But he's got to put all the advice to good use, because Finn Zulauf, another of the young chargers, trying to fight through. Even Eccleschick's there as well. And Gabriel Piana has caught up in the BMW. The 3-car fight has now become a 4-car fight. It's 3 Porsches, now one of the mighty BMWs involved as well. Less than 4.5 minutes of this race remaining. Gabriel Piana instantly moving to the outside of Ivan Eccleschick. He can see himself getting past all of these cars in front. So he tucks in behind at the moment. Suddenly, Eccleshick does not have the luxury of launching an attack on Finn Zulauf without leaving himself susceptible to attack from behind. At the front, it's still Nathan Schaap who leads this queue of cars in the 6th place, the closest battle on the track. It is compulsive viewing in this, the ADAC GT4 Germany. Down the hill once again towards turn 7 we come. Nathan Schaap holding it all together. Is the attack from Finn Zulauf going to come? Is Zulauf going to give up a position to Eccleshick or even to Piana if he makes the move? We're going to find out. 3.5 minutes plus 1 lap remaining of this race. Race 9 of the season, the ADAC GT4 Germany. The fight for 6th place continuing here. Such good stuff. Down the waterfall, Gabriel Piana clearly has the legs. He's to the inside of even Eccleshick. He takes that gap, slides through with relative ease, and we've lost another one with the tyre pressures. It is Sammy Matty Trogan who retires from 3rd place with a puncture. We said tyres were going to be an issue, and it's the BMWs that are struggling, particularly the Volkenhorst one, so both of them into the pits with punctures. A penalty lap has been given to car 24 for causing a collision. That is Max Wimmer, but we look at this fight. We continue to see Nathan Schaap doing all that he can to hold on to that 5th place as if his life depended on it. Finn Zulauf, he had his opportunity to get past, but now he's got Gabriel Piana for company, but Zulauf puts the pressure on Nathan Schaap. Schaap closes the door. Up the hill they come. Still Schaap holds on. Even Eccleshick now trying to fight back at Gabriel Piana. Great stuff here. Nathan Schaap in that 5th place. Finn Zulauf behind him. Then Gabriel Piana. Then Ivan Eccleshick. Josef Knopp a long way behind this battle. So the fight for 5th place continues. Great stuff here. Gabriel Piana, this is the view on board. He lines up Finn Zulauf across the top of the hill, down the waterfall. Once again, time running out. Less than 2 minutes plus 1 lap remaining of this race. You'd think this was the fight for the lead, wouldn't you? Brilliant stuff. It is for 5th place. And now to the outside goes Gabriel Piana. He's not going to try and take both of them, is he? The BMW on the outside of Finn Zulauf. Up towards turn 13, up the steep hill, the blind crest. He's got a fast line round there. Gabriel Piana out onto the pit straight. Surely in a drag race, he's going to get past. He does that. Finn Zulauf is relegated a position. Now, what can Nathan Schaap do? The experience of Gabriel Piana, a former champion in the BMW, the car that is looking so rapid. 1.25 minutes plus 1 lap remaining of this race, and Piana is trying to steal away that 5th position. Our wonderful drone cam following this fight as they head around the Castrol Omega turn, that is turn 3, and then up the hill they come. How much longer can Nathan Schaap hold on to that position? That is car 30, that's gone wide now. Is that a puncture or is that a mistake? It's Henrik Still, who was in 4th place. He keeps the power on. Now, are the tyres up or has he just made a mistake? He comes out right in the way of Nathan Schaap. Takes avoiding action. That would have distracted him. Holds it all together. He goes wide. Gabriel Piana to the inside as well. Car 30 has dropped back. Now, looks like the tyres are all up, or are they? Goes wide out of the corner. I think there may be a puncture, actually, but now Finn Zulauf to the inside of Nathan Schaap, because Piana has also got past. 15 seconds remaining after so much hard work for so long. Suddenly, Nathan Schaap is relegated 2 positions. Ivan Eccleshick fancies some of the action as well. So Piana gets through and pulls away, and another car slowing. Is it another puncture? I think it is. Finn Zulauf, the next of the cars with problems, slows down along the pit straight he comes. It looks to me like there might be a tyre down. The clock has struck 0. Now our race leader needs to complete the lap he's on, then it'll be 1 more after that. but the cars are dropping like flies. I said at the beginning of the show, this might be all about tyres, and that is exactly what's happening. The drivers who have fought so hard for so long, it's the right front in each case that has punctured. Here comes Tom Wood. He was in 10th place. That's soon going to be 9th as he gets past the number 75 car. Our race leader is Hugo Sasser. He will have everything crossed as he comes around to start his final lap of the race. He'll be saying, tyres, please hold up. My David Ortmann will be nervous in the pits. Janis Fischer in that second place with Tim Reiter behind him. You can see our start marshal pointing at the race leader as he went past to commence his final lap of the race. Hugo Sasser leads the way. Janis Fischer in second. Tim Reiter in third. But we have already seen that it's not all over until the checkered flag falls. They've got to go there, not make any mistakes. They need the tyres to stay up. Hugo Sasser, my David Ortmann, have been at the front for the majority of the race. And it's Hugo Sasser who leads the way after the qualifying stint from Mike David Ortmann. We follow him as he heads around turn 6 for the last time, down towards turn 7. He will be pretty happy to see that checkered flag. You can see Finn Zulav not even able to get it back to the garage. He and Daniel Gregor will be so frustrated by that, having been so strong. Championship challengers, but that's going to dent them no end. Championship leaders are going to be extending their championship further if they just hold it together for the last few corners. Hugo Sasser down the waterfall for the very last time. In towards turn 12 he comes. Up the last incline towards turn 13. He can almost push the car home now. He will be able to see the checkered flag in just a few seconds. It is Hugo Sasser and Mike David Ortmann who come out on to the pit straight to win race 9 of the season for the ADAC GT4 Germany. There's Mike David Ortmann. You can see how much this means. Janis Fischer, David Yarn keeping it out of trouble to come home in second place. In third place is going to be Tim Reiter and Leon Vasserthur picking up the last of the podium positions. And what a charge from Gabriel Piana and Marat Kyrov in the number 2 BMW. Such a charge from a long way back to take 4th place. Brilliant stuff. Nathan Schaap, well, he kept himself out of trouble, didn't he? And he's going to come home in 5th place. So great job from Nathan Schaap ahead of even Ekelchik in car number 6. Solid drive from him. Henrik Still after that moment. So the tyres did stay up. Then Josef Knopp. And a big shout out to Tom Wood and Mo Ritson coming from the back to finish 9th ahead of Ferdinand Winter. There you can see how hard these drivers are trying. That's Ferdinand Winter in that 10th place. Dennis Bulatov, 12th place. So not as many points as he wanted. Getting showered with debris on the exit of the corner. Getting showered with gravel as well is our camera. This is a replay of car 30. We saw him going wide. I did wonder whether it might be a puncture. He did well to keep it out of the barrier. He did well to keep it moving. The trick, I'm told, to getting out of gravel trap is just to keep your foot buried, keep the power on, but then all his rivals come sailing through. They come around the corner. They see a Porsche parked there on the outside line, taking evading action. But dramatic stuff in the GT4 racing here at the Sachsenring. Wonderful, wonderful racing. As the cars come in to Parc Fermé, the grip on the championship is tightened further by Hugo Sasser and Mike David Ortmann as a result of that win. David Yarn and Janis Fischer, good points to them in second place ahead of Leon Vasserthur and Tim Reiter. Marat Kyrov, Gabriel Piana, that was a charge and a half. Alex Hartvig and Nathan Schaap, really mature drive through into 5th place. Their best result of the season ahead of Nikolai Moller-Madsen and Ivan Ekelchik, Max Kronberg and Henrik Still, Rodrigo Almeida and Josef Knopp. Also, great charge from Mo Ritson and Tom Wood, also in the BMW. This one for FK Performance ahead of Patrick Stein Simons and Ferdinand Winter. Also, Rafa Renhoff and Leon Erger, 11th place for them. That's good and solid. Denis Bolotov, along with Mark Di Fulgentio, rounding out the top 12. And that will not have done Bolotov's championship challenge any good at all. He came into this 5 points behind championship leader Hugo Sassa, Mike David Ortmann. He's going to have dropped a little bit, particularly with Jan and Fitcher having picked up a very solid 20 points for that second place. So the championship very much alive and kicking. And there is a slow-mo of Leon Vassathura and Tim Reiter, Hofer Racing by Bonken Motorsport. BMW in that third place. Surviving, that was the trick. First of all, getting the car to the end and bringing it home in the points with 4 wheels inflated. In second place, David Jan and Janis Fitcher for Avia WNS Motorsports. A good, solid drive. Started on pole position, but not quite the pace to beat the Pro Sport Aston Martin with Mike David Ortmann and Hugo Sassa at the wheel. The Aston Martin Vantage GT4 doing the business to win here at the Sachsenring. So as the dust settles here after race 9 of the season, just 3 races remaining in the ADAC GT4 Championship. As we look at the Sachsenring, there you go, 26 points is the lead over Denis Bolotov. So he has held on to that second place, but it is incredibly tight with David Jan and Janis Fitcher just 9 points behind him. Simon Conoprim, Jan Philip Springer still in it, 44 points adrift. Marcel Lenez in 5th place, 65 points away. Fenzulaf and Daniel Gregor, though this is really hurt them. There's going to be just 75 points available now after this race, and realistically getting to the top of the championship table, it would be something of a near impossibility, as indeed is the case in Nico Hanke and Max Jensen. And doesn't mean they won't try, though, as we look towards the podium now and we get ready to welcome our winning drivers. So we're going to take a little look at some of the highlights from this, which is race 9 of the season for the ADAC GT4 Germany. It was a great start for David Jan. It was also a good start for Mike David Ortmann into that first corner. Nikolai Moller-Madsen was in there as well. It was high drama. 3 and 4 abreast around the opening corners. They all survived. A lot of rubbing going on. There was David Jan, though, who opened up a lead to start off with. Preservation of the car, of the tyres, was the order of the day. One of the BWT Muka Motorsport Mercedes going wide into the corner. Then it was Daniel Gregor, the first driver to come under pressure. And then we saw this, the 2 BMWs along with Rodrigo Almeida. The view from Mark Di Fulgentio, unable to capitalise on it. Max Osten was a man on a mission, pushing forwards in the 54 car, found a route past Daniel Gregor. Gregor, you could see how hard he was trying, getting into the side of the BMW, pushing him wide and allowing the Volkenhorst BMW to pull alongside as well. The crowd in the sunshine here at the Sachsenring, loving all of the action. Controversial moves. That was the 85 car with Jan Philip Springhoff at the wheel, also pushing and barging his way through, getting the elbows out as they headed around the first few corners. The debris was flying in the air. We saw a number of punctures. Now, whether that was caused by debris or whether that was caused by tyre degradation, but it was Nathan Schaap, along with his co-pilot Alex Hartvig, who kept it all together in the number 22 car. Pressure from all around, an awful lot of pressure. down in towards turn 12. Gabriel Piana was on a mission, started a long way back through the pack. Marat Kairov had been at the wheel. He'd handed it over to Gabriel Piana, and the Hofer Racing by Bonk Motorsport BMW fighting through the field up into 4th place. Championship challenger Denis Bulatov, who'd taken over from Mark Di Fulgentio in the number 4 car, eventually bringing it home into 4th place, but it was such a fight. A lot of elbows out racing as they got through the latter stages, but the tyres were the headline. The Volkenhorst Motorsport BMWs looking especially susceptible, and it was Max Janssen, the next one to suffer a puncture. Nathan Schaap did well, but succumbed to the pressures of Hendrik Stelber. He too was going to have tyre issues. Finn Zulauf also putting the pressure onto the Allied racing cars, but the tyres were going to be an issue right until the checkered flag here. Even Ekelchik, a really mature drive from him, but he had nothing for Gabriel Piana in the mighty BMW. The Hofer Racing by Bonk Motorsport car moving through a position. And then it was Sami Matti Trogan as well, another of the Volkenhorst Motorsport BMWs, who peels off into the pits with a deflated tyre. Once again, the 22 car, Nathan Schaap, at the front of the queue, but driving brilliantly to hold off so much pressure. There was nothing he could do about Gabriel Piana, though. And eventually, car 13, Henrik Still, going wide into the gravel trap. He keeps the power on, doesn't get stranded, is able to rejoin, and does well to bring it home in 7th place. After that, you can see all the cars that came streaming through as he took a couple of corners to get the tyres cleaned up again. One of them, Ivan Ekelchik, in the number 6 car, who'd taken over from Nikolai Moller-Madsen. And it's car 6 who finished in 6th place. Finn Zulauf, the next to succumb to a right front puncture. But the car that avoided the drama, avoided the punctures, it was Hugo Sasser who brought home the Pro Sport Aston Martin, having taken over from Mike David Ortmann to win. Mike David Ortmann absolutely elated by that, extending their championship lead at the critical point in the ADAC GT4 Germany, having won both races last year, halfway to repeating that feat this year as well. Great stuff. ADAC GT4 Germany, never a dull race, always exciting.
Hey, Mummy. Hello, Mummy, wie geht's gut?
Hello, Mum, yeah. So say all of us. There's Damon Sazishin and the number 48 Pro Sport Aston Martin. Such a team player. He's been filming a documentary this season. He did GoPro SRO last year. I think it's going to be GoPro GT4 Germany this year. But he and Mike David Ortmann, very good friends, and Hugo Sasser as well. He's been sharing the driving of the 48 car with Yevgen Sokolovsky, Ukrainian driver. And enjoying his time here. He's found the Sachsenring a steep learning curve. I think some of the drivers that have done it for years find it still a steep learning curve. David Yarn, well, not looking overly elated. Now he is. Yeah, smile. Oh, you're on camera. Yes. Good job. Along with Janis Fichter into that 2nd spot. Just thinking about it and happy with 2nd, but the 2nd win of the season not achievable in this race. It's the 3rd win of the season for Hugo Sasser and Mike David Ortmann, continuing to pressure the top of the point standings, continuing on their quest to become the first ever driver pairing to successfully defend a title in the ADAC GT4 Germany. Here comes Tim Reiter and Leon Wasserthura. 3rd step of the podium. David Yarn and Janis Fichter. They're happy, but not as happy are these two here. Hugo Sasser and Mike David Ortman, the Pro Sports steamroller, continuing onto the top step of the podium. Of course, tomorrow they will have to carry success ballast of 15 kilos. So the back-to-back wins might be more of a challenge. It will be Hugo Sasser who will be qualifying the car tomorrow morning. Now it's time for the national anthem. So the national anthem for Pro Sport Racing, for Mike David Ortman and for Hugo Sasser. Their third win of the season, yet another trophy going to Pro Sport. That is your third place. A really solid draw, their first podium of the season up until now. Fourth place at Zandvoort for Tim Wright and Leon Wasserthurer. David Jan and Janus Fischer in that second place. They had a second place last time out at Sachsenring. Not looking especially elated, it has to be said, thinking about what might have been after that pole position. But the biggest smiles in the whole of Saxony go to Hugo Sasser and Mike David Ortman as they take their third win of the season in the ADAC GT4 Germany for Pro Sport Racing. And Pro Sport themselves get a trophy, yet another trophy for the cabinet. The mandatory photo time is had by all squeezing up on the podium, all 6 drivers and the representative for Pro Sport. Come to the front of the balcony, wave to the people below. Photos taken. Applause from the teams. And then time to celebrate, but the celebrations will be brief because we've got another race tomorrow. It will be race 10. Oh dear, I think it was a bottle of champagne there from the Tim Reiter, I think it was, and Leon Wasserthurer. But yes, that was race 9 of the season. There are just 3 races left in 2023. 1 race tomorrow, and then the conclusion at the Hockenheim Ring in October. Hugo Sasser and Mike David Ortman continue on their march to be the first ever driver pairing to successfully defend their championship. Can they do it again tomorrow? Can they make it back-to-back victories here at the Sachsenring? Well, join us. We're going to be on air again tomorrow from 16:35 local time for what will be race 10. And then after that, it'll be just 2 more left this season. For the time being, it's bye-bye for the Sachsenring. We'll see you again tomorrow. Bye-bye.